All right, guys, before we kick off today's episode, we wanted to talk a little bit about GoWad. GoWad is a new app that Fern and I have been using, and it's really useful to help you improve your mobility.
It's a pretty slick little app. Like I was really impressed when I pulled it up. I used to spend a lot more time on mobility. I spend far less now because, quite frankly, like I don't want to have to think about things. I think anybody who's a coach or an affiliate owner, like you get to the point now where if it come when it comes to yourself, you want to do zero thinking, which is why this has been pretty beneficial. I've been playing around with it, and it's can be tailored to me.
Having recently been on our tour, I am always surprised when boxes do their own programming. How do you feel about that?
I think probably depending on where you're at as an affiliate, it's if I was to reverse the hands of time, I would outsource it first because I just don't have enough knowledge to do it very well. We do it now, but that's after 10 years.
Right, but that's my point. You have a limited amount of time, not just on this planet, but when it comes to running your box. And there are some things you can outsource, delegate, just hire. Programming is one. While I respect people that like to do their own programming, like you at CrossFit Rife, whether it's warm up and workouts, ham plan, comp train, even, or NC Collective, like just so many options out there. And there wasn't one for mobility, and people overthink it and try to come up with the next greatest thing, but really it's done for you in this app.
Yeah, it removes a lot of the thinking, but I think one of the big thing is it can do a couple things for you. A, you're going to get an assessment on the front end, which I think is key. So a lot of these are just going to give me a routine, or I'm going to read something, I'm going to do some stretch that might not be really. It's like getting a generic program that's made for a large group of people. Could it be effective? It can absolutely be effective. What is going to be more effective? Something that addresses my issues.
Yeah, and that's what this does. You take a mobility test. For example, after this road trip, our shoulders are jacked.
And we don't mean by like jacked and
Oh no,
tan.
I meant mine are huge. Yours, I agree with you, they're
There
frail
is
looking.
literally nothing about you that is huge.
So, point is, we might need more mobility in our shoulders, where someone in the same class might have tight ankles, tight hips, their low back might be bothering them. That's what's cool about the GoWatt app. You kind of take this little mobility test, figure out where you're good, but also where you're deficient, and then you get a basically private coaching to
hmm
help you get better in those areas of your body.
And it's slick too. Like, I mean, the app is, I mean, as far as apps go, like, it is nice looking. The videos are super high quality. It's pretty interactive. I wasn't super aware of it until I started digging into it, and I'm thoroughly impressed with it, to be honest with you. I dig it.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it to everybody. Obviously, we've talked about this before. Specifically, I mean, I don't know if you remember this, Fern. Remember not too long ago when I hit 50 back squats at 185?
It was a blip in time.
You remember how you didn't think I can do it and then I did it?
I remember something happening
You
with 50
remember
back squats.
how everyone was just so impressed by the fact that I can do that?
That I don't remember at all.
But the point is, if you do something like that and you bang yourself up, cool. Now you've got a great protocol to come back because I was really sore from that. But now you can go on the app, super slick, like you said, figure out, hey, my back's sore, my hips are sore, this is bothering me, and you've got your own private programming set for you. So definitely check out GoWad. You can download the app, and what's really cool about it is affiliate owners, you get it for free. So if you're listening to this, affiliate owners, go check it out. Go check out GoWad, download it. If you're not sure what it looks like, it's the app that looks like a little bit of a play button and it says GoWad, all caps GOWOD. That's GoWad. All right, if you check our Instagram regularly, you saw yesterday's post where I made a little quirky. What's quirk? I don't think that's a word.
It's
Quirky.
definitely not a word. Yeah.
I was gonna say. I was gonna say.
Quirky. Quirky is a word, but
I was gonna
that would
say.
not be an appropriate use of the term quirky.
Let me. I was gonna say quip. Is that a word?
Quip is a word, also not appropriate for
No,
that.
that's a
Hey,
that.
you remember when we talked last week about not using terms we don't understand?
I'm trying to expand my vocabulary. I'm trying to,
Practice.
I hang out a
Practice.
lot with you, and I feel like my IQ is slowly going down. I'm trying to bring it back up.
No, you're slowly realizing that you're not as smart as you thought you were.
So anyway, I made a comment on Instagram, a post about people that use burpees as a punishment at the box level, and it got some great feedback, mostly supporting it. But we haven't heard from you, Fern. I'm anxious to hear your thoughts about it.
So first and foremost, no, you shouldn't do it. But B, I don't know anybody that's been around longer than 5 years that probably hasn't done that at some point. Like, so, and for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, this is the scenario. The scenario is I'm briefing at the whiteboard, or maybe I've started the general warm up. Jay walks in because he has no concept of time, overscheduled, overslept, and
Mostly that.
yeah, mostly if you're watching the video version of this, you definitely just woke up. And then I punish Jay because he's late with burpees. It's 5 burpees for every minute that you're late. So that was fairly common practice back in the day. Like,
Did you do it?
Yeah, we absolutely did it back in the day. So I'm definitely not immune to that. However, I did post in that thread that most of us have done this, like many things in the affiliate, not trying to be malign or malicious, out of pure ignorance, not understanding that is just terrible customer service. Even if the person's cool with it, it's still not cool.
Now, when you would do it, though, was it like, hey, seriously, Susie, give me 5 burpees? Was the person that was strolling in on the joke?
Probably sometimes yes, probably sometimes no. I haven't done it in so long that I couldn't even give you any context of when it happened. But
Yeah, that's
the
what I'm trying to think of.
The problem is that it doesn't matter if they're in on the joke or not.
Right. I mean, I'm looking at it. It's like
somebody being offended by something is not what makes something a good or bad idea.
Okay, I like that point. So you're saying even though everyone at your box could be like, hey, we signed it, we get that this is part of the deal. If we're late, we do 5 burpees. That's still not a good idea.
No, it's a pain point, and there's enough pain points once we say 3, 2, 1, go for people that I don't need to create any more pain points in their interaction with the gym, whether it's pain point for emails or pain points for there's no toilet paper in the bathroom or pain point for the website's not updated. I'm trying to eliminate as many pain points as possible. And if they're dreading coming in late or not, or more importantly, not going to show up because they don't want to do burpees, that's a pain point.
Yeah, and don't you think a lot of it just stems from the fact that those of us that were around 5-10 years ago have matured?
Well, we've matured, and also typically in CrossFit's youth, if you will, back in the days 10 years ago or 12 years ago, most of us were coming from probably a military or athletic background where there was a punishment for being late. Like if you showed up to practice late, there's a punishment. If you showed up to work late or you showed up to formation or an exercise late, like there's a punishment for that. And since then we have matured to realize that this is not a sports team. This is not the military. People pay to be here to get a service. So punishing them is stupid. I think the only thing that needs to be considered is at what point do I let them in the class? Like what's the cutoff for me allowing them to hop in if they're late?
Right. Keeping them safe, basically. Because that is an issue that people forget. Like you can be late and I'm at the whiteboard, no big deal, no one's moved. But when you're late and we've gone through half the warm up, all of a sudden you're not going to be ready when it's time to go. But and I say maturity as well because, like you said, like you were a military guy and a sports guy. We all know you played Division I basketball. We don't have to hear him talk about it. But
oddly enough, when anytime a flow master brings that up at a seminar, I get a lot of weird looks, which is offensive to me. right? People are like, and he played Division I basketball, and people always get like a weird look because I'm white and I'm 5'10", you know?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Is
And
that
and you
racist?
look
I don't know.
unathletic, and you don't look like you can jump. But
Yeah.
anyway, the point is, we come from that background where, yeah, like if you were late to practice, you're doing burpees, you're late, especially in the military, there's physical punishment. But then also, 10 years ago, Fern and Jess didn't have two crazy kids running around, and maybe you couldn't empathize as much with the mom that leaves work to go to daycare to pick up the kids, to drop them at the babysitter, to be late. And that was one of my favorite comments from this post. I screenshot, I put it up later in the day, was exactly that scenario where this woman is, running around to make it to class 5 minutes late. And then it's like, you have no idea the struggle that I just went through to get here.
So full confession, she's one of my members, and I'm not sure if she's talking about us because it's been a long time since she's been here.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I had no idea.
Her name is Christina, and I love her. She's and I put in that thread somewhere. She's one of my all-time favorites. Like, she's amazing. She's the person that you really want and love to have in your gym, who is simultaneously the person that makes you want to pull your hair out.
And you could tell her that.
100%.
She's probably listening.
Yeah. No, what I'm telling the whole world is not a secret.
Okay.
She's the one who every day, 3, 2, I got to go to the bathroom. We just had a bathroom break, like literally just now. Or I need my grips. But again, I love her. Like, she's a fantastic human being. If I could replicate her 100 times over, I would gladly have a gym full of her.
At the same time, you can like bust her balls about it.
She's super cool about it, but at some point people are not cool about it because they legitimately are dealing with life stressors, and it's one of those things where, hey, I can rib you and I can give you a hard time, and then that's that one day when it's like, not today, bro. It's not cool. Like, you just need to calm down.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I do have the good fortune of empathy now because I do have 2 kids. I mean, I'm currently playing single parent right now. My wife's like out of the country. So yeah, it is a struggle to haul around an infant and a 6-year-old who doesn't want to put her gloves on, and the kid just crapped his pants and all of these things to try to get to class and get them where they need to be on time. So I too would be like really grumpy if somebody was giving me a hard time. I'll give you a perfect example. When was it? 2 weeks ago. So the drop-off line at school turns off at 8:08. So 8 a.m., 8:08 a.m., they're no longer doing drop-off outside. So I get there at 8:09, miss the drop-off. I have to park. I got to get her in there. Meanwhile, I still have places to go after this. And the guy sitting at the front desk is like, hey, get in here. You're late. To which point I'm like, do you not think I realize that I'm late? Like, I don't need you to tell me the obvious. I appreciate it though, but I don't need you to tell me the obvious, which is I'm late. I wouldn't be hustling in here with my kid's jacket half on if I didn't realize I was late, So it's the same thing. Like it's the same thing that we probably don't realize that we're doing to members when they show up late, when they kind of peek around the corner looking guilty. Like, if that's the case, we're probably doing it wrong. Just like you said in the post.
By the way, I really want to share that picture of Logan at gymnastics on our best hour. Instagram.
Everybody get a glimpse into my life as a parent.
That's like, that would be a great like CrossFit meme. Like, that is the member that we're talking about over in the corner.
We should make it a meme. We'll make it. I will give the rights to use my daughter.
So now, where do we draw the line? Obviously, I think anyone that saw the post yesterday, anyone listening to this episode, hopefully, a lot of things that we put out there are kind of gray. Like, try this, do this. This is where we're saying, no, it's pretty black and white. Don't be an asshole to your members. There's no other field. Like, imagine you made a reservation at a restaurant. You show up 5 minutes late, and they're like, hey, we have your table. You have to do 5 burpees.
I would be irate. So I think there's a couple things you have to take into consideration. Number one, so again, context matters. Like, is this person chronically late every day? Are they late by 9 minutes every day? it's just a conversation, and ask them, are you late because you're just not paying attention, or is this literally the earliest you can get here? And if they're chronically late because they're just lazy and you can tell they just came from the beach or something like that, then you might have to have a conversation with them and say, listen, I would really appreciate if you got here on time, because that person probably is the person who's asking questions that you've already addressed, doesn't really know what the workout is, and is going to cause potential issues in the class. But if it's a one-off, then again, I posted it in that thread as well. Like, the only thing you should say is, hey, Jay, it's good to see you. Glad you made it. And not like do nothing other than welcome them to the group.
Yeah, I mean, and also I would encourage the box owner or the coach to check themselves. So, for example, when I was in Florida, the BJJ school that I was training at, every day class started at a different time and it was always late. So I started showing up late because I was like, I don't want to be here on time to wait for this guy to show up, and I'm busy. So maybe you need to check, are you doing that yourself? Do classes actually start on time? You know, if
That's
it's
a great
3:30,
point.
are you at the whiteboard briefing? Because nothing gets me more mad, whether it's at a CrossFit box or jiu-jitsu or wherever you are, that it's like, hey, we're going to wait for the people that are straggling in. No, I got here on time. Don't
Yeah.
wait. Why am I being punished waiting for them?
Or why am I going to take a chunk out of my lesson plan when we have things to do that are important because so and so's late? Like, we'll sort that out, but that doesn't mean, again, if we're talking about lesson planning, if you take 3 or 4 minutes out of the front end, I'm here to tell you, like, that's a big deal.
Oh yeah,
You're
you'll
gonna,
mess
you're gonna
you'll
have
mess up the whole day.
you're gonna mess up the whole lesson plan. And most people don't think 3 or 4 minutes is a big deal, but it is a big deal. Now, I do think that there's a time and a place where, so you should be at the whiteboard starting, at the hour or at the half hour or 15 minutes, whatever time your class starts. I do think there's a little wiggle room. If there's banter in there, and there's some community things happening and there's some good interaction happening, like, I will regularly just let that go and cut it off. But what I'm not going to do is just give the same whiteboard brief that I was going to give. I'm going to take into account that we just were shooting the shit for 2 minutes, and now I'm going to give a 90-second whiteboard brief, and we're still going to get out of there in 3.5 to 4 minutes to get where we have to go. I'm not going to, mess around for 3 minutes having jokes and then give a 5-minute whiteboard brief. Now it's 8 minutes, and now everything is jacked up because we still have to cover the muscle up, the snatch, whatever it is we have to do. And we basically just took up the entire general warm up with that.
No, absolutely. I think, you know, you need to be somewhat flexible in your timeline where you're not cutting off things that are boosting your community or having a fun conversation. And if you shorten your whiteboard brief, maybe you're putting a little bit of it into the general warm up, or discussing some points that you would have made during the specific warm up. So certainly don't be so glued to your timeline that you can't make class fun. But I noticed in my time coaching at North Naples CrossFit, I coached at 3:30 twice a week, and I started promptly at 3:30 every single time. And it's the first class of the afternoon, and oftentimes people would stroll in a little late. And I noticed over the years that I coached, people started showing up on time regularly. But I was also the coach that you show up 5 minutes late, I was the one forcing you to take class. Like, I was like, no, take class. I'll get you warmed up rather than staying for the 4:30. So you got to find that balance of start on time, but be welcoming. I knew at 3:30 people were leaving work, or, my buddy Nick had to pick up his daughter Chloe at school. So they got there as fast as they can. So, you have to be open-minded about it and realize, hey, this might be the only opportunity they get to work out. Like your member said in
Yeah.
that post, it's the last class of the day. If she doesn't get to that, she doesn't get to work out.
Yeah. So I just think and I don't think a ton of people do this anymore, but
Well, just for the record, that post came because I did see someone mention it in the Facebook group. So people are still, whether
that's
or
also
not they're
a good
doing
point.
it,
Yeah, that's a good point. There's probably actually a lot more people still doing it than I thought.
and whether or not they're doing it, they're thinking about doing it.
Definitely don't. I don't even, well, it doesn't matter what the post is. That's stupid.
I think it was just somewhere in the lines of like, do you do this, or how do you handle this? So I honestly didn't pay enough attention to it. I realized, wow, this is still a thing. And I want to make sure people know it's a bad thing.
It should definitely not be a thing anymore. It's just, I think the only question is, at what point is this inappropriate or, in air quotes, unsafe for them to get into the class? At what point is it now more of a problem than anything in order to try to get this person in there moving? And that depends. That depends on the workout. It depends on what your lesson plan looks like. It depends on, honestly, who the person is. If I got an OG that's been here for 7 years and they walk in 15 minutes late, there's a high likelihood that I'm going to let that person hop in because they got places to go. Because
Yeah,
I
and
know,
you also know something went wrong in their day.
yeah, because that's not normal. And I know they have 2 kids and they're a single parent, and this is the class they show up to every single day. And they understand the workout, probably already looked at it today, know how to do a clean and jerk and pull ups. So all I need to do is make sure that they've got the blood flowing. And in those scenarios, sometimes I'll just tell them, get on the bike, get on the rower, be on there for 5 minutes, and then hop in when we get to the barbell. And I'm good with that.
Absolutely. So this is one of those rare occasions where Fern and I are drawing a line in the sand. We're saying, hey, don't do this anymore. If you are doing it, if you're thinking about doing it, don't add it to your routine, and keep your members happy. Appreciate the fact that they're rushing to get there, and just think about the many scenarios in your life where if you were late and had to do burpees, how frustrated and mad you would be, and probably look for another place to go.
Yeah. You want people to want to be there regardless of what's going on in their day. I learned this from one of my members who's I think I've talked about him before. He owns a couple of Chick-fil-A's. And one of their things at Chick-fil-A is never assume you know what kind of day that person at the window is having. So treat everybody the exact same, because we have no idea what they're going through. They may have lost a loved one. They may have gotten fired. They may, just be having a bad day. So just say, hey, I'm glad you made it. It's good to see you. Get in here. Like, that's it. That's all you need to say.
Perfect segue into a promotion for the book Best Hour of Their Day, because there's a chapter all about that. When it was Austin Malleolo at a level 1, and he was like, hey, you never know what someone's going through. And you have to, I truly try to take that approach in all aspects of my life. I do it with Fern regularly. He was a grumpy cat this morning, and I'm like, hey, I don't know what he's going through. Turns out he's, single dadding it this week. And that's why he's being.
I was grumpy because you're not considerate about other people's time. That's why.
But anyway, he didn't, and the fact is, he didn't think about what I had going through. I was deep asleep at 9 a.m. and he woke me up.
No, I was fully aware of what you were going through, which is what made me grumpy.
Hey, wake up. We got to record a podcast. But anyway, yeah, the book is out, but even cooler, episode 2 dropped yesterday. So go check that out. Episode 2 of Dropping In, our new show on YouTube. Super excited. We had great feedback on it, and I'm positive you're going to love this episode just as much. That it, Fern?
Yeah, don't make your members do burpees for punishment.
Don't make them do burpees for punishment, and head over to the Best Hour of Their Day YouTube and watch episode 2 of Dropping In. All right, Fern, we'll be back. Thanks for listening to Best Hour of Their Day.
Thanks for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. How cool is that? There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, so it becomes super simple. Some of these episodes with Fern or Todd or myself chatting with one another, we've done right within the app itself. Anchor will make it easy to distribute your podcast to all platforms, Spotify, Apple, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make an awesome podcast in one place. All you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Come on, who doesn't have Spotify at this point? And if you were unaware, Spotify now is offering podcasts. That's right. On Spotify, you can listen to all your favorite artists, but also podcasts in one place for free. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now, Best Hour of Their Day. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcasts so you never miss an episode. Premium users can even download episodes to listen to offline
wherever you are, something I always do before I hop on a plane. And you can even easily share what you're listening to with your friends on Instagram and other social media platforms. Here's the deal. If you haven't done so already, be sure to download the Spotify app, search for Best Hour of Their Day on Spotify, or browse some other podcasts if you want. You can find them in your library tab. And also make sure to follow me so you never miss an episode of Best Hour of Their Day. Thanks again for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. Just a reminder, Fern and I have an amazing new show called Dropping In, premiering on our YouTube channel in early 2020. Be sure to head over to the Best Hour of Their Day YouTube channel now. Subscribe so you don't miss any of the episodes. You've probably heard us talking about it, summarizing some of our trip. You can see some highlights up on our Instagram as well, at Best Hour of Their Day. But I promise you, you're not going to want to miss out. So subscribe now. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for letting us be a part of your lives. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Tune in tomorrow for another episode of Best Hour of Their Day.